That Marta.
I'm sorry. Sure.
All right, back to Linda.
Oh, yeah. Good. Except I sort of, with my car yesterday, sort of slid right into my garage doors.
Oh no! In your brand new driveway.
No, on my old ancient car. On 2004 garage door. Well, I don't think I did that. I didn't roll slowly. I couldn't go with it. All it is steel, chrome, and a new cover for my bumper. $1,000. But you know what? It just nothing. So I came up to Davis on a big recommendation from Oklahoma Marathon. Like I said, he's just really good.
Good evening, everyone. It is 5:31. We'll call this special meeting of the Township Board of the Charter Township of Meridian to order. Quick programming note as we get started here. We had definitely reached out to all the boards and commissions members, welcome, those who are here already, about this meeting being at 6, and then we had a last-minute agenda item that we needed to add to the meeting. So our plan this evening is going to be for us to dispense with our business that we have to do. We'll take a recess, and then we'll get started with the boards and commissions meeting as we all know it at 6. So thank you all for being here early. You guys are our heroes, but we'll get started and do our regular thing, and then be back at 6 o'clock for the traditional boards and commissions meeting. For that, everyone please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda is a roll call. Clerk Demas, will you please call the roll?
Supervisor Hendrickson?
Yes.
Clerk Demas here. Treasurer Burkhart?
Here.
Trustee Lentz?
Here.
Trustee Sunland? Here. Trustee Trezise?
Here.
Trustee Wilson?
Here.
7 board members present.
Thank you very much. Item number 4 is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda this evening?
Move to approve the agenda.
Moved by Trustee Wilson.
Support.
Supported by Trustee Trezise. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor, you have a, you're just ready for the next thing. All those in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is our sole action item this evening, a resolution and letter opposing ITC's Oneida to Sabine Lake electric transmission line project. Manager Dempsey.
Yes, good evening, board members. So before you tonight, at your request, are 2 things. One is a resolution in opposition of the ITC project, and then a letter that provides some additional detail outlining some of the problematic issues related to the proposed line. So I worked with Deputy Manager Opsimer and Director Wazinski to craft these documents and put them together. So I think what we tried to do was be responsive to all of the issues that you raised in response to the public input that we received at the prior meeting as well as the meeting before that, and encapsulated all of those key themes and ideas within both of those documents. So hopefully it captures everything that the board was seeking to include in these 2 documents, but we're happy to discuss any components or elements or certainly entertain any edits should the board want to revise this.
Thank you very much. Board members, any discussion on this topic? Well, I'll say I appreciate the detail that you got into in both the resolution and in the letter. Specifically, the protected species, endangered species of both plant and animal life in here, as well as the impact to their protected floodways. Our residents, our neighbors will have plenty to say about the impacts to their individual properties, and certainly they've already done so, and will continue to do so, I would suspect. But the township board and the township residents at large have a greater interest in some of the properties that neighbors wouldn't necessarily come out for. Specifically our Lake Parks, the Lake Park rather, the Harris Nature Center, and some of the protected wetlands and waterways in between. So I wanted to just commend the staff, you in particular, for working and putting that together so that we can have a comprehensive and well-detailed resolution and letter to provide to ITC as feedback. So I'll be supporting this. I didn't have any edits to include on this, so thank you very much. Other board members? Trustee Trezise?
I would make a motion to approve the resolution and associated letter in opposition to ITC's proposed Oneida to Saving Lake Electric Transmission Line project in Meridian Township.
Support.
Been moved by trustee Trezise, supported by trustee Wilson. Any final discussion? Seeing none, will clerk Demus please call the roll?
Clerk Demus, yes. Treasurer Burkhart?
Yes.
Trustee Lentz?
Yes.
Trustee Sunland?
Yes.
Trustee Trezise?
Yes.
Trustee Wilson?
Yes.
Supervisor Hendrickson?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much. All right, at this time, that concludes the action items on our agenda. Without objection, we will recess until 6 p.m.
I want to make a quick note before
No problem.
this is for our
It's on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got it. We can do it. Remember to turn the volume off. Good evening, everyone. We'll call ourselves back from recess at 6 p.m. So welcome to the official boards and commissions portion of the meeting. Thank you all so much for coming. This is one of my favorite meetings of the year. I think I speak for everyone because we all get to hear a little bit about a lot of things going on in the township. And I will try to use my theater voice because I see some ears and heads tilting toward me. So thank you all for being here. We very much appreciate it. We're very much looking forward to hearing from each of you. Before we hand things off to our boards and commissions, we want to, as always, give a brief introduction to the things that our staff has prepared, that we at the board level and the staff level have gone over in the last year. And so for that, we're going to turn things over first to our township manager, Tim Dempsey.
Okay, good evening again, and thank you. So, as Supervisor indicated tonight, I want to provide just a very brief overview because we obviously want to spend the vast majority of our time hearing from our board and commission members. But this helps set the context just in terms of what the overall township board goals are, provide some highlights, and these are the high-level highlights of some of the accomplishments over the course of the year. But with that, I'll jump right into it. So, reviewing the 2025 board goals here. The first one is providing superior citizen-driven services. We'll have a lot more information for the board and our residents here in the next month or so when we put together our annual report. So we have a comprehensive annual report that we provide to the community each year on all the activities. But you can see all of the departments up on the screen that provide services on a day-to-day basis. This is the nuts and bolts of local government, whether it's providing public safety and emergency response, whether it's registering voters or collecting taxes, or processing site plan applications and building permits, doing water and sewer, you name it. It's that comprehensive work that the township does. And our staff, we're fortunate to have nearly 170 staff who are dedicated to providing a very high level of services to do that. So they do that comprehensively, and we appreciate all the work they do. But we'll have a lot more information in detail, as I said, in our upcoming annual report for people to look through. The second goal is environmental sustainability. This has been a big priority of the board for a number of years, and 2025, I think, was no different in terms of accomplishments and ensuring that we achieved a number of sub-goals with that. On the environmental stewardship side, 622 hours of stewardship and land preserves with 28 different work days, trying to address invasive species. Just a tremendous amount of time when you look at the volunteer contributions to add up to those hours, as well as the support from staff. Removing down trees and debris from 14 miles of our Red Cedar River. So a new program to clean that up and make it more navigable. Solar projects, that's been an ongoing effort of the township as we try to move away from our carbon footprint and do more in renewable energies. Unfortunately, as we all know, federal government funding is drying up in that area, but we continue to work with some existing grants that we have with the RFP for the North Fire Station going out and finally going to be under construction this year. Our local roads and pathways, a lot of progress there, 5.7 miles of local road construction in Everett Farms, Tacoma Hills, neighborhoods, as well as along Lac Du Mont, Tyhard and Newman roads. We also did a couple miles of chip seal work on Cornell Road, and then over 14 miles of rejuvenator treatments to previously paved areas to maintain that investment that the township has made in recent years. In water and sewer, some significant projects with the County North Lift Station being completed, as well as two important gate valve projects along Grand River and Dobie Road. Again, maintaining our system, making sure that it's functioning well. And as all of you are familiar, because you get my text messages at all times of day when we have water main breaks, but numerous repairs throughout the year for the system. Particularly quite a large issue that we had, if you remember, in Lake Drive back in March of last year that was pretty significant. But again, staff addressed those and got all of those taken care of in a timely manner, irrespective of whether it's 10 below or 90 degrees out. Those crews are out there doing that work, so we appreciate that. Goal 3, enhancing the redevelopment in key areas. So this is the focus of both the downtown, Okemos, and Hazlet areas, but also discussion about Carriage Hills and the Meridian Mall. The focus, of course, has been in the two areas of Hazlet Village and the village of Okemos. It's great to see now, if anybody has been by in recent days, the work that's taking place at Hazlet Village Square, so the southwest corner of Hazlet and Marsh Roads. That project is moving ahead. That's the mixed-use project with multifamily housing, commercial space, as well as for-sale townhomes. The board and the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority approved that housing TIF policy to pave the way for that project, along with approving the actual plan. And of course, you had to do that a couple times because of the feedback that we got from MISHDA. So that's great to see that project moving ahead. Village of Okemos, obviously, as we've talked about several times over the course of the year, has been a little bit more challenging. Staff has sort of pivoted on this project to do an infrastructure first model where we're focused on trying to get Okemos Road reconstructed, because prior iterations of this project presumed, the road department and others presumed that the project itself could pay for that project. However, the financial burden of doing that and moving some of the high wire electric distribution lines, those collective costs are just too much for a project at that site to bear. So in partnership with the Downtown Development Authority and their subcommittee that they formed to relook at this project, the DDA has funded a consultant who has helped us over the last several months put together what we hope will be a very competitive build grant application to the federal government that, if successful, will secure for us enough funding to do a $12 million reconstruction of Okemos Road and reconfiguration, allowing for a left turn onto westbound Hamilton if you're heading north on Okemos, and allowing for two southbound turn lanes on Hamilton heading west as well. So that would be a big help for us to move that cost off the ledger for private development. So we're optimistic about that. And then as far as Meridian Mall, of course, the mall, I think, has done, given the retail constraints in the marketplace, a pretty good job of maintaining what they've been able to do in terms of existing tenants and then securing some additional tenants. However, there is some redevelopment that is occurring in the area on Marsh Road. As you know, there's the car wash that's going in now. Panda Express is supposed to be going in where the former Wheat Jewelers is, so hopefully that'll be starting soon. And then there's discussion on a couple of other vacant properties along Marsh Road as well. So progress with redevelopment of our key areas. Senior Community Center, of course, we know where this went. The task force did quite a bit of work, finished their work back in March with two recommendations to the board: a senior center and community center option, as well as just a senior center only option. That then went to voters for consideration of a millage, which we know the voters turned that down. So since that time, staff has been working with, or within the community to try to identify a number of sites that could be viable options for a senior center only. We spent a lot of time screening over 150 potential buildings that could do that. We narrowed it down to a few, run into various roadblocks, whether property owners wanted too much for a property, whether people wanted us to lease from them, which is not economically feasible in this market, or other barriers that we've run into. We sort of narrowed it down to the possibility of the Nokomis Cultural Center, assuming that they can effectuate a move to a larger facility, which is one of their long-term goals. So we're continuing to work on that, and we have until mid-May of, or mid of 28, May of 28, before the senior program has to move out of Chippewa Middle School. So continuing to make headway there, albeit slowly. And then our last goal for 2025 was improving citizen outreach and communication. Obviously, it's important to do this work, it's important to make these accomplishments, but it's just as important to make sure that our residents are aware of it and they understand that the things that are happening, the things that are getting completed. So the Township Board held 3 community listening sessions at different locations across the township. We had about 170 attendees across the 3 events, including one right here at the pavilion outside, which we're looking at doing again for 2026. Of course, we have the 2025 Prime Meridian Magazine, which is our featured publication that lays out all of the great things that the township does throughout the year, including its various events that we hold. We've done a number of things on Facebook and Instagram to promote the activities of the township. We worked with WLNS to partner on some community events and enhance promotion there, and did a new sponsorship model this year for all of our events, which improved our overall sponsorship contributions by 33%. It was really sort of a collective package versus seeking sponsors for individual events, looking at people sponsor all of our events. So that was very well received by our sponsors. So again, making good progress there. As I mentioned at the outset of all this, these are high level, some of the bigger accomplishments. Obviously, there's much more that staff and everyone has completed across the organization, but that'll be all incorporated into our annual report that's forthcoming. So I want to finish out then with just touching on the 2026 goals so people are aware. And of course, because of the importance of a lot of our 2025 goals, there is a fair amount of carryover here. So in terms of economic redevelopment, continuing, of course, to make it a priority to work on the village of Okemos, as well as the Meridian Mall area as far as redevelopment, seeking out strategic opportunities to do that. Environmental sustainability, continuing to work in that area, but also placing an effort on doing a comprehensive water and sanitary sewer rate study for our system, because we know how important that infrastructure is, and as it ages, making sure that we have a viable plan for long-term sustainability of our infrastructure. And continuing to look at our ways to reach our renewable energy goals. Again, recognizing there's fewer state and federal dollars out there. What are creative ways that we can utilize our own funding or other programs to be able to afford that transition as we move forward? And then the senior center, a goal remaining there, finding that alternative plan for a senior center only facility. And then the last 2 goals for 2026, communication, again, continuing to find ways to expand the reach. You know, one of the things that we've seen and we know in recent years is that communication tools are very fragmented. People get their information in a lot of different ways, depending on their preference, sometimes depending on the generation that they fall into. So finding ways to reach all of our residents and do it in a comprehensive way does get increasingly challenging, but we have a great communications team that's up for the challenge. And then we also have to meet new accessibility standards for all of our documentation by 2027. So that is a new federal requirement under the ADA Act. And then a new goal for the board that we talked about when you formulated these And that was really starting to look ahead a little bit further in terms of our overall financial picture. So doing a 5-year financial forecast for the township when we look at budgeting, to give us an idea of, what are the challenges that we see forthcoming, what are some of the headwinds that we're facing, and what are some of the ways that we might be able to structure the township's budget to achieve all of these goals, yet remaining fiscally responsible in doing that. So that'll be a first-time sort of 5-year plan for the board and the township, but we look forward to that because I think it'll be very insightful as we go ahead with our planning. So with that sort of wraps up, again, the recap of 25, the overview of where we're headed 26. So unless there's any questions here, we can proceed with the.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Manager Dempsey. A lot of exciting developments in 25 and a lot coming in 26. And I think I speak for the rest of the board when I say that we're very excited at what the next year is going to hold for us. And I think the theme of 2026 from a goal perspective is future planning, right? How do we best look years and years out as best as we can, look into the crystal ball and set sort of a strategic outlook for the next half decade. So we're very, very excited about that. And now to the fun part of the evening where we get to hear from all of you about what it is that you all have been up to. We've got, let's see, if Roman numerals are correct, 16 boards and commissions who are here this evening represented to present. And so we are very excited to kick things off with Deb Federow from the Board of Review. And I'll make a quick note as you're walking up, Deb. If anyone has not yet signed in on the sign-in sheet by the table, on the table, we would ask that you please do that. We want to make sure that we've captured everyone that was here this evening for the minutes. You can do that at your leisure over the next little while here. It's on the clipboard by the door. Deb, welcome.
Well, thank you.
Look forward to hearing what you got to say.
Thank you. And it's nice to see all of you here. I've been on the Board of Review for a few years now, and pretty soon here, you're all going to get something in the mail that's going to tell you whether your taxes are going to stay the same or maybe go down. No. So what the Board of Review does is we hear value appeals and review exemptions for poverty and whatnot. In 25, we heard 59 petitions, including 10 personal property, 6 poverty exemptions, and 43 value appeals. So we have been pretty light the last probably 3 or 4 years with the folks coming in, which means I guess they all feel like their values are accurate or pretty accurate and money's well spent maybe. So we meet in March for about 3.5 days, 2.5 days to hear people who have issues. And then we come back in July and December to correct any department issues or corrections, errors, and review any additional poverty exemption requests. So the dates this year will be March 9th through the 11th. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have not a board or commission, but one of our valued community partners at the Capital Area District Library. I saw Tom out there. Is Sandy also here?
Sandy's here.
Sandy, welcome.
Hello. Well, the biggest, most exciting thing that we have going on is that the Capital Area District Library has purchased a building in Okemos, and after paint and new shelving and lots of hard work, we're going to move our local history archives and collection from downtown in the basement of the library downtown to this building. It'll be temperature controlled. It'll have a meeting room for meetings and lots of parking, which we don't have downtown. And I also brought Tom to tell you all the fun stuff that libraries are doing.
Thank you, Sandy. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tom Moore. I'm the head librarian for the Hazlet and Okemos Libraries, for the Capillary District Libraries here. Sandy says that that's not fun. I think it's super exciting to have the local history center move basically right here in Okemos. It'll be right down by 96. So nice and close for our Meridian residents to access, where access, downtown was maybe sometimes a little bit difficult or intimidating for folks. So that's an exciting resource for us. I did want to say a few other words, though, right? So our mission at the Capillary District Libraries, as always, is to empower our diverse communities to learn, imagine, and connect. And we do that in so many different ways, right? Through our fun events, through our safe and welcoming spaces, and also through all the resources that we connect folks to, right? So all the stuff on our shelves, but all the digital resources as well. In 2025, we had about 750,000 visitors to our buildings all across the county. We have 13 branches for the Capillary District Libraries. I would challenge you to try and visit all of them. It takes a little bit of doing. We also saw about 2.5 million items checked out last year. Across our entire system. About 900,000 of those were digital items. So we're also, really excited about those numbers and about the engagement we're getting from our communities across the county. This year, another new resource that we're offering is digital access to the New York Times and Wall Street Journal using your Capillary District Library card. So you visit our website, click through the link, you can get access to the New York Times and the Journal there. So that's an exciting resource that I think the Meridian Township residents in particular will be happy to take advantage of once they find out about it, so spread the word. At our Hazlet and Okemos branches, we run about 30 programs a month at each building, so about 60 or so a month overall, all throughout the year. So that starts with our youngest community members, right? With our early literacy education, our baby story times, our toddler story times, preschool. We've added a few bilingual story times here and there throughout the year. So feel free to check those out. Keep an eye on the calendar. But it also goes through our adult population and our seniors as well, through our book discussions, our crafting groups and opportunities, our adults, speakers, and authors coming in to educate and engage with our community members. In between, we offer a wide range of programs as well. I think one of the things that is constantly on my mind, and probably some of you have heard about, right, is that Hazlet is a safe haven for teens after school, being so close to the middle school, the high school, and the elementary school over there. And so we see a giant influx of teens coming over, and we provide a nice slate of weekly events for them to kind of capture some of that energy. But we're a safe place for them to come and hang out with their friends, wait for rides, or, sometimes occasionally study. At Okemos, we do see a increase in traffic after school as well, but it is admittedly a little bit more academic. It's a lot more families and groups of students coming to study at our tables and our spaces, to meet with tutors, and to the point that study tables and meeting spaces were in so much demand that last year we rearranged some of the layout of the building to add a new small meeting room at the Okemos Library that can be reserved by small groups and organizations, right? And when it's not reserved, people can come in and use that quiet study space as well as on a walk-in basis. In 2026, we are in the first year of our new strategic plan. So we're going to be looking and evaluating our community partnerships, our user experience, our facilities, and our internal operations so that we can continue to learn and grow and adapt with our residents' desires and needs for what their community is and what their library is. And I just will end with saying thank you to the board for allowing us to be here and be a part of this meeting. Thank you all for all of your support throughout the years. We are proud to be a part of Meridian Township and to call ourselves a community partner. So always reach out if you need anything. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Sandy. All right. Next up, one of our busier commissions, our Planning Commission. We have Alice Ann Shrewsbury and Josh Nam.
Josh is gonna speak.
Josh gonna take our newest planning commissioner, Josh Name.
Well, it feels strange not to introduce myself with my name and address, but I'll see if I can restrain myself to 3 minutes, but please don't start the timer. All right, I'll be speaking on behalf of the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. So for those who don't know, the Planning Commission's primary responsibility concerns making recommendations to the board on issues concerning land use and development. We also consider the final arbiter of certain special use permits. Much of the information that I'm going to be talking about during this short presentation is included in last week's Township Board packet in the annual report of the Planning Commission, but I'll bring out the highlights from that. All right. Before I go too much further, I want to thank Principal Planner Shorkey, as well as Community Planning and Development Director Schmidt and all their staff for their support and guidance on many issues that were coming before both the ZBA as well as the Planning Commission. Okay, so some highlights from the Planning Commission last year. So we started the year off by discussing a rezoning request by Federa on redistricting 4 acres on Dobie Road from a single-family low density to a multiple-family slightly higher density. We recommended approval of that request, and the board approved it as well. A little bit later in the year, we had a special use permit from the Mr. Car Wash on Marsh Road. Another special use permit, we recommended approval, and the board approved it as well. And towards the end of the year, probably the most contentious topic of consideration was the Continental property and Ide Central Park Drive, the Authentics apartment proposal. We had lots of debate, lots of input from the public, and ultimately we did not come to a decision on a specific recommendation for the board, and so we're going to let you guys deal with that as well. In addition to having special use permits and those sorts of things, we also recommended 3 ordinance text amendments. 2 of them regarding changes to the requirements for parking on properties, as well as changes to some of the rules regarding landscaping, as well as a zoning amendment about restricting the ability to have roosters on certain properties. And we're going to be talking about chickens more this year, but the current work that we're doing, we are continuing the multi-year project of updating our parking ordinance. So we're currently discussing things about like possible parking maximums and other sorts of systems to encourage these sorts of land use, especially regarding parking, that we would like in this community, as well as an expansion of zones where chickens and rabbits are allowed to be raised in backyards. So taking off my Planning Commission hat, and I'm also the Planning Commission's liaison to the Zoning Board of Appeals, so I'm going to speak about their work as well. So the Zoning Board of Appeals' primary responsibility lies in evaluating the merits of applications for variances for cases where practical difficulties and unnecessary hardship would result from us following strictly the specific zoning ordinances. So this is really more of a, if the property doesn't quite fit the mold, if there exceptions need to be made, the applicants make a request for a variance for their specific property. So last year, we considered a variety of variances, from requests to build decks that slightly intrude upon wetlands, construction of 3-season rooms, garages, changes to signage, including the repair of the big Playmakers sign on Grand River. There were a total of 12 applications last year, the same as the year before. We have a lot of variances to be considered this coming year. In fact, our meeting next week, we have 5 different variances we're going to be considering there, so that's going to be a nice long meeting. And lastly, I just wanted to note that all the meetings of both the ZBA as well as the Planning Commission are all televised live and recorded, and I get to thank the communications team for that. So Yeah, that's the summary for the Planning Commission and the Zoning Board of Appeals. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All righty. Next up, we have the CIA, not that one, Corridor Improvement Authority. Bruce Peppers is here. Welcome, Bruce.
Thank you. As you recall, we had a TIF program started last year, and this year we did have a very positive TIF capture. So we have a little money in the bank that we can do some things. One of the things that we have instituted is a facade improvement program, where we will cover up to half or up to 20,000 or half of what an approved project is done. And we've had 2 of those go through successfully. Probably the most visible is the shopping cart lady in front of Playmakers. We provided funding for that. Also, the Mid-Michigan Academy of Martial Arts, their new signage and enhancements in front of their new location. We were also providing comments and guidance to MDOT regarding the pedestrian crossing islands that are along Grand River, especially as far as safety and accessibility, because those are 2 of our core legs that we stand on for the CIA. And that's especially important from last Wednesday or last April's hit and run that occurred at the Campus Hill. That's very important to me personally. The young lady that was struck is my neighbor. Additionally, we've engaged with Dan Opsmer and Public Works and MDOT regarding safety improvements, lighting, and more visible signage for all 3 of the crossings. And that's about it.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Okay.
Okay. Next up is our Parks Commission. We have Mary Nardo Ferris here to talk a little bit about our parks.
Hi, good evening. I'm the current chair of the Park Commission. We have a small but mighty group. Our vice chair right now is Commissioner Amanda Lick. We have Mike McDonald is one of our commissioners, Mark Stevens, and we've been really happy to be able to have a new commissioner this year. Her name is Emily Phelps. She always comes well prepared. She's very engaged and contributes a lot. So we feel that we have a really good group that we're working with now. And we work with Director Wazinski and her staff, who, again, they're a small group, but they do some tremendous work. Anything from their maintenance activities, they take care of so many properties and support so many events in the community. Our stewardship staff with Emma, our recreation specialists and the activities with the kids and the adults with Mike and Alex. And we've been pleased to have a couple replacement positions this year. Our administrative assistant had moved on to another job within the township, and our current administrative assistant is Hannah Pachuchek. And we also have a rec specialist that's a replacement. His name is Alec Zigarzutsky. Courtney, can you please? We are only hiring people for the department right now when they have challenging last names. But we're really pleased, and they are both bringing some real talents to the group and some of the prior great work that had been done. We've had a number of events. One of our major events that was with the other departments and many, many volunteers in the community was our Celebrate Meridian. This was the first year that we had done a drone show as opposed to the fireworks. So that will continue this next year, and we had received comments on that, both pro and some that not everybody likes change. So, but there are a lot of good things that came with that too. We've had our Music at the Market series has really expanded, and that's been very popular. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to get out there on Wednesday nights, but it's really well received. There's the bands, I'm always amazed how good they are. Mike, it's my understanding, Mike primarily has set up those groups, and the number of people and even children that are out there dancing and just having a great time has been an awesome addition. The other, Harris Nature Center has also had a number of activities, and they continue to be one of the focal points of our commission, and actually for the regional area where kids and students come in and people will drop in. They will have programmed activities and some of the camp systems that kids are really enjoying. We have a lot of work, particularly with our stewardship and some of our others for volunteer support. So we're very, very grateful to have the generous and committed volunteers that we have in this township. They've been awesome. We would not be able to do the work we do without them, and that has continued. Our same thing with our farmers market and the vendors. We work closely with the vendors. Director Wazinski does, and her staff. Our volunteers and visitors there. That is another one of the additions that we've had for the township that has really proven to be an attraction and has won awards numerous years now. So we're really happy to see that continue. In fact, I was up at DeWitt's farmers market and had asked if they were interested ever in being in Meridian Township. And basically, it's just, there's no way to get in, it's so popular. So that was good, and I know we reevaluate that every year, but it was kind of nice to see that we were still one of the outstanding markets in the area. Our dog park participants, we've been working closely with them and are looking to put a shelter in for the small dog park for some of the residents that are there that may need shade structures. They've asked for that, a little bit more support from the elements with those puppies and the people that are bringing them there. And they have quite a social group. If you've ever been by behind the service center, it's kind of fun to see the little dogs running through there and the people. It's kind of like their own little social group. We work closely with our trail users and our pump track volunteers. As far as projects for this year, we have one of the efforts we worked as the commission participated on the task force for the senior and community center relocation. Some of the other construction projects we worked on are the Towner Road baseball field renovations this year, in addition to inclusive playgrounds at both Towner Road and Ottawa Hills. Those playgrounds both incorporated poured in place as far as their surfacing, because that's a safer surfacing. It's a little more expensive, but we're working, it's a little easier for accessibility also. So one of the things the commission has worked with staff on in some of the projects through the past few years, and will be a focus moving forward, is for enhanced accessibility. Whenever we do renovations, whenever we do new projects, is to make sure that we're keeping that in mind, both from a programming standpoint and from a construction standpoint. Additional projects that we're currently working on are an application to the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, and that's for a grant to request engineering for our Okemos Road trailhead over there next to the service center, and we're excited about that. Coming forward, we've also completed printing of water trail maps for our regional Red Cedar River Trail projects. That's a very collaborative effort that goes all the way from Williamston over to MSU. That particularly Director Wazinski has been working closely with that group. And we're looking forward to having some of those elements in place. It's really in the planning stages now, and they're clearing, but it's a great group of partners. We are also applying for permits that are at launch sites that are tied to that water trail at both Harris Nature Center and Ferguson Park. The other thing we've been working on and focused on is trying to provide a cricket field in the community. And that's been challenging. We have a large number of residents and visitors that participate in the cricket activities. We've worked really hard to find a way to try and provide some facilities for them. And staff in particular has just worked diligently. We have done wetland delineations. Part of the challenge with the cricket fields that we found is that they're very large. So it could be not exactly, but 3 to 4 times a soccer field. Well, not only are our fields intensively used, but to take that much property or even do that in a new area is very difficult with all the wetlands that are in this community. Excuse me. Excuse me. So at this point, we have kind of struck out. We are continuing to look for some opportunities. I'm sorry, I have to get some water. Thank you. We're continuing to look for some opportunities throughout the community and maybe with the county, but are not running into, Corey, you may have to finish this, but are not running into success there.
Part of the cricket pitch on stilts at the boardwalk?
Could be a new cricket, new cricket. But yes, so to Mary's point, we've looked at the existing park properties that we have. There was one that we thought would be a great ideal place. However, we did run into some wetland issues. So that, of course, affects the size of the field itself. So we haven't given up, but we might have to find a partner somewhere close.
Yeah, so Director Wazinski has been working closely at that, and we've been disappointed, but we feel that we've pretty much exhausted a lot of the work that we can do within the township. For 2026, our upcoming projects will be working on the engineering for the Okemos Trailhead. With that grant, leveraging the monies there. We are working on improvements at Nancy Moore Park for the pavilion and the restroom renovations, and that's in collaboration with the family there who are working very closely with us, and we're excited about that. There's some long-needed upgrades there. Others are the windscreen replacements for the farmers market and the accessible floating dock systems and approaches at both Ferguson and Harrison Nature Center for those water trail projects. And finally, our focus for this next year will be our 5-year master plan update. And we've hired consultant Manic Smith Group.
You want me to help?
I have no idea why
I want
this
to
is
help.
happening.
I don't either.
Because we're at the end.
Yeah, so our master plan is up in 2026. So we did issue a request for proposal for a consultant to help us with that master plan. Our master plan's done and done well. Given my first year with master plan and looking at some of the new things that we want to look at for our capital improvements, we thought hiring a consultant would be our best bet. So we are working with Manic Smith Group. I actually meet with them tomorrow to do our kickoff. So we're really excited about that.
Yes, we are, and that's it. And thank you so much for your patience. Really appreciate it.
And Mary, feel free to grab another bottle of water on the way. All righty. Next up is our Communications Commission. Lisa Whiting-Dobson is here.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So I just wanted to let you know the charter of the Communications Commission is to advise the Township Board on issues related to the video service franchises and compliance with Public Act 480, which we're doing less of these days, and we're doing more supporting the Communications Department in managing home TV and print and digital media and branding and marketing. And so the other folks on the commission, and we're very happy that we now have a full commission, are Mike Nevels, Leslie Charles, Megan English, and Amal Pavangandar. And I thought we would spend our time just showing you the successes of the Communications Commission in the last year. So if you look at our monitors, we have a little presentation for you. So let's look at the year-end numbers. First of all, and do I need to change this, Samantha? Oop, I don't know. We'll see. There we go. Okay. So there were 132 total township events that the Communications Commission helped with, or the Communications Department as well. Things like Celebrate Meridian, the Juneteenth celebration, and Meridian Pride, which are very meaningful events in our community. And so they were charged with trying to promote all these. And so if we look at the website information, our website was visited over 1 million times this past year, which is really exciting. So, and you can see the top areas that were visited. And so Farmers Market was the top, right? All right. And then We also had 24 e-newsletters sent. We had 9,279 total subscribers and 58% open rate. And as you know, if you're anything like me, with sadly 11,000 unopened emails on my computer, we all get emails that come to us, but we don't open them. So 58% is really quite a high open rate, and we're really excited about that as well. We had 3,977 followers gained across all our pages and platforms during the year. Again, great growth there. So good work to communications. And then we look at home TV. And so part of what we did this year is we looked at the home TV policies, and we kind of reviewed them and brought them in line with whatever changes need to happen, which really wasn't a whole lot because they've been handled pretty well. But there were 102 total hours of televised board and commission meetings, 73 total televised board and commission meetings, 4.2 thousand total hours watched on YouTube, right? And that's incredible. And then 103 total videos posted on the YouTube channel. So very prolific in terms of what home TV is doing, and really a leader in community television. There were 2 awards won this year, 2 of the people involved with home TV won Philo Awards, which again is a national award and very exciting. And I just wanted to say personally that both Amal and I teach at MSU, and we teach in the video and film area, and 2 of our students were interns at home TV this year and loved it. Learned so much, and so we want to really thank Samantha for her wonderful work and how wonderful she is in shepherding students and teaching them the ropes of this kind of video work. And so we're just going to finish up with a few pictures. Thank you for a great year, and thank you for this time.
Thank you. Next up from our Environmental Commission, we have Bill McConnell here.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here as always. One of my favorite meetings of the year as well. There's so much wonderful stuff going on in the township, and it's great to have all these folks together in one spot. The Environmental Commission, in my mind, has 3 mandates. One is regulatory, one is legislative, and one is educational. The regulatory one is advising the Planning Commission or the Township Board on wetland use permit applications. The legislative one is updating ordinances, and the education is whatever you can make it. Over the years, the shift we've seen has been a major decrease in wetland use permit applications in the township. We're just not getting them. People are building around the wetlands. They're not bothering to come and ask us for an exception because they have to build more, so they don't do it. The legislative part that we have, there's a lot of green infrastructure that actually the Planning Commission, we heard earlier, is working on through parking regulations and decreasing impervious areas, so that kind of stuff is getting done. So the Environmental Commission then has been leaning into the educational sort of outreach thing, and thanks to board support, we've been administering a green grant program to small organizations and also have some funding to implement our climate sustainability plan. So I'll just cover some of the highlights of the last year of the green grant program. Most of the organizations, Girl Scouts, Montessori Radmore, YMCA Parkwood, Michigan Land Conservancy, are what we might think of as public or nonprofit organizations. There's also been a couple of homeowners associations that have applied for green grants and been successful in implementing green infrastructure type projects, mainly in native plantings and things. The commission relies quite heavily on staff, and we now have a wonderful staff, Jack Hughes from the Public Works Department, who provides excellent support for us. But we don't manage the money. They do all the administration of that. So actually, the amount of work that's involved in administering that program is relatively limited. So that kind of leaves the climate sustainability funding, and there have been a few investments in green infrastructure and some other things, and there are some proposals for what to do with the rest of it. There's some green infrastructure that could be installed at a township park at Marshall Park. There's also an idea of potentially updating our old 2004 green space plan. by maybe getting a consultant to go back and look at the data and see how have we done so far. Do we need to extend this, or can we check that box as we're doing it? So those are the kinds of things that the Environmental Commission will be doing. And I think there's scope for more, and I'm delighted to announce that after having been chair for a little while, we now have a new chair, Yuman Lee, who unfortunately couldn't be with us this evening, sends her regrets, but who also comes to us from the Land Preservation Advisory Board, so there's a really strong connection there. And that makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm delighted to be handing off. Another piece of the outreach that we do that I can't skip over is the various volunteer teams that connect to us or connect to the township in some way through us. We have an energy team that's responsible for the Solarized Meridian program that's really increasing the rate of solar adoption on residential properties. The green team, which does our recycling events, and really there's a lot of work that goes into all those things. We've got a very strong high school connection at the moment with Hazlitt, and love to get someone from Okemos. Some other groups like Wetland Education, it's been funded, so that's good. Good food smart composting. We are collecting food scraps at the market and composting those, and there's a huge gleaning effort that's taking food that goes unsold to people who need it. And Green Burial, who you've heard from as well. Those groups have come from the Environmental Commission, but now have their way going forward. So that's about what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have our Downtown Development Authority. We've got Ron here. Welcome, Ron.
Thank you. All right. Appreciate everybody's patience with me as I go through this today. The DDA has achieved a strong financial progress over the past 2 years. We actually in 2024 and 2025, we established certificates of deposit right now. Over the last 2 years, those have gained up. We now have $150,000 in there to utilize for various investments, creating flexible funding sources that will support the economic development initiatives, the staff capacity, future DDA projects. Also, the DDA is collaborating with the Youth Commission on beautification concepts, of course, for the Four Corners area. I probably don't have to say that, but a site formerly known as the Village of Okemos with the shared goal of enhancing the appearance and identity of the corridor. To prioritize targeted redevelopment, the DDA created the West Hamilton and Okemos Subcommittee. This is a focused working group dedicated to advancing redevelopment at this key site. One of the subcommittee's early recommendations is to pursue stronger support and investment for infrastructure improvements along Okemos Road. Additionally, the DDA approved contracting with Hubbell, Roth and Clark, HRC, and we have authorized payment for their assistance in preparing the build grant applications, which I think our town manager spoke of earlier. The DDA has focused efforts to support the proposed rehabilitation project at 4690 Okemos Road, which will deliver essential updates to 7 housing units, provide quality homes affordable to households earning up to 80% of the area median income. And those are the things we are working on right now. I've kept it short for all your, I guess, entertainment.
Thank you. Short but important.
Yes.
Next up we've got half of our Community Resource Commission here. We've got Georgia Stajka, who's going to be presenting. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Georgia Stajka. It has been my honor and privilege to serve as a member of the Community Resource Commission for about 9 years. I actually think it's longer than that, but I don't remember when I started. The last 3 years, I've been lucky enough to be chosen as the chair. During this time period, I have seen Meridian Cares grow and expand,
Katie Love, our specialist that oversees Meridian Cares, has worked tirelessly to meet the ever-growing needs of the residents of Meridian Township. I actually think she ought to go up for an award. She only basically works 4 days, but that's a misnomer because very frequently she works in the evenings, and very frequently she'll see her, going on weekends to various and sundry activities that are taking place. She's a wonderful person, and whatever you pay her, it's not enough. This past year, Meridian Cares helped 112 families. These residents are of all ages, some with families, some are individuals. They are responsible, caring, hardworking individuals who are one catastrophe away from financial need. The $39,164 given by Meridian Cares helps these families to pay their rent, to avoid eviction, or pays their utility bills to avoid a shutoff. In addition, Katie works with various churches and service organizations within the Meridian community. $109,705.54 has been leveraged. This is money that these entities will also contribute to also help these families. This past year, Katie applied for and we received a $40,000 grant from Ingham County. $10,360 of this grant money was also used to help families avoid eviction from their homes. Altogether, we have supplied $159,276 to give to Meridian residents to keep their homes, to give them food, to take care of their utility bills, some of which have already been cut off. And Lord knows this past winter, we don't want anybody to have a loss of utilities. Meridian Care doesn't stop there. In collaboration with Rotary and Kiwanis, we support back-to-school projects in Okemos and Hasluck Public Schools. Backpacks were donated. Katie contacts the teachers and the schools, and sometimes they don't need backpacks, but they might need crayons or folders or pencils, and she gets a list of everything that the schools need, and then groups of us get together and fill boxes and are taken to those schools, and that's part of what we do. And in addition to that, she purchases gift cards to give to the school so that they can purchase snacks for school children. Many of our residents do not own cars and must rely on public transportation to meet their needs, whether they're shopping or going to doctor's visits or jobs. CATA generously provides books of bus passes at a reduced price. Meridian Care purchases the Ready Ride passes on a weekly basis. Katie then goes to several locations, several apartment complexes, especially where there's low-cost housing where the need is the greatest, several times a month, a couple of times a week, several different places, and sells these passes. The entire cost of the passes is paid for by the purchaser, so Meridian Township doesn't foot any of that bill. As of date, 437 of these bus passes have been purchased. As cold weather approached, Meridian Cares worked with the Okemos Community Church to hold a coat drive. Families received coats, snow pants, and boots. And during the holiday season, with the help of high school students and the generous donations of service organizations and local grocery stores, Meridian Cares coordinated baskets of food to 344 households for Thanksgiving and 346 families for December holiday meals. Meridian Cares also has coordinated the Michigan Sparrow Mobile Health Clinic, going to several apartment complexes, probably once a month or every other month, to assist to bring health-free service to local families. The service is now in its second year and is expanding to different communities to provide more services. Meridian Cares also participated in several community events, including Protect the Pack that Okemos has, Sock Out Suicide, and I believe that's Okemos as well, Celebrate Meridian, and the Meridian Township Police Department Halloween event, and Santa's First Responders, a joyous event giving food and families and gift to children. So if you wonder what happens to all of that deer meat that is culled, a lot of that is given to these families during this event, along with what we gave them stock pots to cook them in, and we give them recipe cards, and we give them all of the other things that you need for the recipe, crockpots. So we help them out in any way that we can so that they can make use of what is being given to them at that point. I am most proud of the efforts of Meridian Cares to bring together the many service organizations in Ingham County. Last year, we hosted the Community Resource Connection. Over 40 different service organizations were in attendance and learned of the efforts of these other groups. The goal was to make it easier for these organizations to network with each other to serve the needs of the people. There was much positive feedback from these attendants, and we haven't heard if we're doing it this year again, but whenever we do it, it's worth it. I would also like to thank the Board of Trustees for their help into maintaining these services. But more importantly, I would like to heartily thank the hundreds of Meridian citizens who have generously donated to Meridian Cares. Whether it's coats or boots or winter coats or baby bottles, because we have a baby bottle thing that we do where you fill baby, whether it's baby bottles filled with change or monetary donations throughout the year, Meridian thanks you. 100% of everything that you donate goes directly to your fellow neighbors, and I can't think of a charity that can boast that. Finding us on the township website now is easier than it has ever been in the past. So if you know of anybody who's suffering a hardship, do not hesitate to say, go to the website, find Meridian Cares, you'll get Katie. Katie is a most wonderful person. Her last name, by the way, is Love, and without a doubt, she definitely exudes that. Look up, and she will get in touch with you, and she does a hard job. She, will take the individuals who come, and she checks them out to make sure that they are totally, in need of what they say that they are, and they always are. So thank you again, all of you, because you're part of the community, and without your help, Meridian Cares wouldn't exist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia. Next, we have the Lake Lansing Advisory Board, and Kurt Armbruster's here.
Sometimes I think I'm busy, but I'm tired just listening to what you guys do. Congratulations. My name is Kurt Armbruster, and I'm chairman of the Lake Advisory Committee. Our job is to advise Meridian Township on maintaining the quality of the water in Lake Lansing. We do that through a special assessment district, which raises $90,000 a year. $10,000 comes from Meridian Township, thank you, and $10,000 from Ingham County, and the rest, the balance, actually there's a small assessment that isn't taxed that goes to the two sail clubs, and then the rest comes from the residents on the lake and the residents that are approximately in a 2-block area around the lake called Tier 1 and Tier 2. But so with this money, and I want to just divert for just a second here, and with the help of Giannis from the engineering department, and Giannis has done a yeoman's job for our committee over the years, maintaining all our filters that we've put in and everything. And I just want to thank Giannis and thank Meridian Township. You guys have always stepped to the plate and made our job really easy. And as a result, Lake Lansing, it's a very difficult lake. It's a shallow lake. It's got a lot of biomass that grows in it. And the quality of the water in Lake Lansing is really as good as can be expected for given the conditions that we're in. So Giannis and Township have a lot to do with that. What we do and have done is over the years we have filtered all the water going into the lake. So whether it's a street drain or a regular drain that comes in through a pipe, we've put filters of some kind on all of those things. Mainly the filter is a swale that we've built so that the water goes through the swale, and in theory the swale pulls out the sediment before it gets into the lake. And that would be for all the unnatural sources of water going into the lake. Obviously, where the water that comes from the wetlands around the lake we haven't touched that. That just is a natural filter that we've found. We maintain first of all, we work through an engineering company called Progressive Engineering they're out of Grand Rapids. They manage, I think, 70 lakes in the state. Through them, we test the lake every approximately 3 weeks. Sometimes that varies on weather. And by test, I mean sometimes they run samples to test for oxygen and the different nutrients and so on. And then sometimes they're doing plant surveys and whatever. And then based on their surveys, we chemically treat invasive species and we harvest natural species out of the lake to maintain quote unquote optimal recreational use, whether it be for boaters or for swimming or fishing or whatever. In addition to that, we do a few extra little projects, and the most recent project that we did is actually one of my favorites. We created an overlay that goes onto Google Maps. Those of you that are savvy enough to use a phone or whatever, with Google Maps, you can bring up a map of the area and the little blue dot shows you what street you're on or wherever you are. Well, the overlays that we created go over the lake, just the lake area. And the first overlay shows all of the contour lines, the depths around the lake. So you can see on your blue dot and you're sitting over the 30-foot area or something. Then the second part of our overlays gets into a new controversy that's been going around for a few years, and that's regarding wake boats. The wake boats go and with water balances, they create a larger wake and people wakeboard behind the boat. Well, the larger wake in theory is bad to probably not in theory, but supposedly is bad for the lake in a couple ways. Number one, if they're too close to shore, throwing a big wake up against boats and whatever, you can damage boats. The big wave going against the shoreline can erode the shoreline away. And then there's also the theory that the wake boat being at an angle, and if it's in shallow water, the prop thrust mixes up the bottom and causes problems that way. And so a couple states have enacted laws. Michigan has a law on the books or ready to be addressed that would limit where wake boats can go. It would limit it to 15 feet of water and 500 feet from shore. Well, fortunately, in Lake Lansing, that still leaves a little room for wakeboarders, but in some lakes, that will just eliminate wakeboarding from that lake on some smaller, shallower lakes. They have not passed that law, and the DNR has interjected in a proposal that we try to educate people and not pass the law, but try to educate wakeboarders and get them to voluntarily stay within this 15-foot depth and 500 feet from shore. So that is the second overlay to the Google Maps that we produced. When you on this overlay and you look at Lake Lansing, there's some blue areas and some red areas. The blue areas are recommended areas for wakeboarding, and those blue areas would always be 500 feet from shore and in deeper water. And the red areas are the areas where you have danger of either damaging your prop or hitting bottom or whatever. So the red areas are the quote-unquote shallow areas. And So this link is available on our website, and we're going to have it available by a QR code this spring on a sign at the boat launch, because also new boaters always complain going on Lake Lansing, because it is such a shallow lake, that they can, they got their new boat out roaring around the lake and they hit bottom and got $700 damage to their prop or whatever. And so at least we'll be able to provide them with this tool that they can navigate on their phone around the areas. So that link is available on our website. And while I'm onto our website, it's the website that's on the Meridian Township, obviously. There's a lot of resources on our website. If you're interested in anything from doing anything to do with wetlands or water or whatever, there are links there. There's probably 100 links on our website of places to go on all kinds of things that have to do with wetlands and waters and lakes and water quality and biomass kinds of things. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, that's the latest thing. And in terms of what we're doing this year, we're still looking at improving the fishing quality of Lake Lansing. We don't have any specific projects in mind, but we're working on looking at that. We've had different people in to talk to us about, and then we're well on our way toward our annual project of doing all the things I mentioned, which is overseeing the permits and the chemical treatment and the harvesting of the lake. Any questions? I guess one other thing we did do, I'll just say quickly, we acted as a conduit for communication on the dam project. As most of you know, or some of you know, the dam has some damage problems, and the county is going to put in a new dam or put it out for bids. And the Lake Lansing Property Owners Association formed a dam committee, and because Paul Pratt from the Drainage Commission sits on our committee, we kind of facilitated the communication, and the Property Owners Dam Association or Dam Committee has done a yeoman's job of working on that, but we were it took up a lot of our time, although we won't take credit or discredit for anything. Any other questions?
Thank you very much. Next, we have our Economic Development Corporation, David Fostick.
Good evening. My name is David Fostick. I'm the Vice Chair of the Economic Development Corporation Board. The mission of the EDC Board is to promote economic development within Meridian Township. The focus through which we kind of do that is related to fostering an entrepreneurial culture in the township, assisting in the revitalization of business districts, and building and supporting public-private partnerships. Financial support to the EDC Board principally comes from a $10,000 kind of structural revenue source provided annually through Bircham Hills for use of the township's bond rating. And then we're charged to use this funding for investment in programs to enhance entrepreneurship in the township. We have a pretty healthy fund balance at the moment, around $71,000. And like some of the other people who presented today, we were able to get some of that into a certificate of deposit and try to kind of grow things out a little bit further. The priorities and activities from the previous year, we worked with Lansing 501. That's an organization kind of intended to work with young professionals, kind of attract young professionals, keep young professionals in the region. We're pretty excited about that. A lot of that focus is obviously always kind of downtown Lansing and in East Lansing, and so we kind of get them to extend their sphere out to Meridian Township. We supported a Friendsgiving event at Playmakers and Peak Performance that I think was pretty successful. We are provided some assistance to the West Hamilton and Okemos Subcommittee, kind of coordinating some efforts with the Downtown Development Authority in terms of that subcommittee work. And then we established our own facade improvement program. We weren't going to let everyone just get their own facade improvement program. We wanted our own. So, but no, I think the intention of that is to kind of complement what's done through the Downtown Development Authority, the corridor improvement. So for businesses that don't fall into those specific areas, we approved our first grant this year to Ideal Mortgage Services in Hazlet, and the kind of requirements for those grants are pretty similar to what you've heard from others. Up to 50% of eligible project costs, up to $20,000. So there are 9 members of the board. We've fought our way to 8. Like took a little while for us to get there, but we're seeing really strong participation and interest and kind of more vigorous activity over the previous year. Pretty excited about the year ahead. So it's a pleasure to speak to everyone here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Speaking on behalf of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Manager Dempsey's back.
Yes, you get to hear me twice tonight. So as a member of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, just to give you some highlights of the past year. So the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority was formed to address contaminated sites and facilitate their redevelopment. We currently have 4 approved projects in the township. So the Elevation Apartments, Joe's on Jolly, Hazlet Marathon, and the American House Meridian are the 4 approved underway. And then our 5th new one I mentioned earlier, of course, is the Hazlet Village Square project. So we're excited about that. The Brownfield Redevelopment Authority actually is in a decent financial position as well. We now have just under $89,000 in a revolving loan fund. So we have the ability to, should a project come forward and need upfront funding, we can provide that in terms of a low-cost, flexible loan for a project or projects. So that's an exciting thing to have in place. The focus of the authority currently is to work on the Hazlet Pika. Those are our potential intensity change areas where the township is designated for potential redevelopment. So the Hazlet Pika, the effort there is to sort of do a pre-screening to identify potentially contaminated sites. So we're working with Eagle and potentially the Kansas State University Technical Assistance Brownfield Program to help do some phase 1 testing of properties to identify sites that could need additional environmental testing, again, to be more proactive on a brownfield strategy. So the Brownfield Authority also did its, and I mentioned this earlier as well, did its policy on housing TIF. So now that is incorporated within the Brownfield Act, and again, the Township Board approved that. So we're excited about that. That policy does allow for projects that would incorporate workforce housing up to 120% of area median income. So a new tool that's being utilized around the state to reduce those gaps with housing projects overall. So the Brownfield Authority, it's myself and 4 other members. We currently have 2 vacancies, so if there's anyone out there interested in serving on the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority or any of our boards and commissions, I'll make the plug where we have vacancies to please submit their interest on our website. But with that, appreciate the ongoing support of the board for the authority's work. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is the Local Officials Compensation Commission, and we have Director Abby Tiedoff.
Good evening, everybody. It's really nice to listen to all the positive impact that's going on throughout our township. Again, I'm Abby Tiedoff. I'm the HR director here at the township. Been here since 2020. Unfortunately, our members weren't able to make it tonight, so I am representing our team. I am the employee liaison to the LOCC, Local Officials Compensation Commission. We meet biannually, and I have had the pleasure of meeting with the team 3 times since I started. And what we do, we meet biannually and to determine the salaries of the township's elected officials. And that includes our supervisor, our clerk, our treasurer, our trustees, and our park commissioners. And I can tell you in all of those experiences where we've gotten together for those meetings, they're very thoughtful. They're a very mindful group. They care very much about getting this right. So it's a pleasure to serve. And we'll be looking forward to having our next get-together here coming up for 27 and 28.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next is our Land Preservation Advisory Board. We have Chris Parnell.
Hi, I'm Chris Parnell. I sit on the Land Preservation Advisory Board. Meridian Township's land preservation program was established in 2000 to acquire, preserve, and protect natural areas throughout the township. Due to the support of a township millage passed by residents in 2000, staff and community implemented stewardship continues year after year. One full-time stewardship coordinator and 3 part-time staff implement land management on town preserves as well as parks. The Meridian Conservation Corps supports stewardship staff in completing land management across all 956 acres of preserved land. In 2025, 622 hours of volunteer stewardship was completed in the township by the Meridian Conservation Corps. 46 days were devoted to management ranging from invasive species removal to native transplanting and seed collection. 51 unique species of native plants were ethically collected as seed and used for native habitat restoration efforts on township lands. 7 remnant native plant species were planted and protected for reestablishment and further perpetuation in preserves. Our program hosted its first Michigan State University Glasson Scholar, which includes a 12-week internship focused on natural resources, conservation, and environmental sustainability. Their internship focused on environmental policy surrounding educational outreach, such as wetland protections and dumping of yard waste. Goals for 2026 include expansion of invasive species management efforts through staff, volunteers, and contractual work. Over 36 species of invasives are managed on township land. Priority invasive species include Asiatic bittersweet, Phragmites, lesser celandine, Japanese knotweed, and barberry. Staff are working hard to increase mechanical management efforts of invasive plants, which include prescribed fire, goat grazing, brush hogging, native plantings, and hand removal and cutting. Management efforts will focus on preservation of riparian habitats along the Red Cedar River and prioritizing native berry-producing shrubs and trees that local bird species depend on. Land preserves will continue receiving surveys of boundary lines and reinstallation of degraded property markers. Staff will continue and expand community engagement through the Meridian Conservation Corps resident yard consults and outreach events. This year, we will host our second MSU Glasson Scholarship intern. These goals will continue to bring us closer to sustainable land management practices that the community can embrace for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have our clerk, Angela Demas, to talk about what the Election Commission's been up to.
Hi, everyone. All right, so I know I'm the last report, so I'll try to keep this brief, but I just have some updates about our election commission from 2025. Let's see if this works. All right. I see it on some screens. All right. Okay, so we had one election last year, so we had a couple meetings for the August 5th election. And we had another meeting about precinct boundary changes, which I will be giving a presentation about. So I am a part of the election commission. I hold it. Trustee Sunland and Trustee Trezise are also on the election commission. Yeah, so let's just jump into precinct boundary changes. So at our December 30th meeting, which was at the end of the year, I proposed a resolution to combine and reorganize our existing precincts. So we used to have 22 election precincts, and that was quite a bit. And with new election law changes, we can have up to 4,999 active registered voters. So I proposed this resolution so we could reduce the number of precincts from 22 to 14. It did pass, and I submitted the resolution to the BOE to approve these changes. Combining precincts will save us a lot of time, staff time, budgeted funds, resources. So this was very, very helpful, and now we have 14 precincts. So just to give a brief summary, or I guess I can go through all of them. So precincts 1 and 2 were combined to become precinct 1. Precincts 4 and 5 were combined to become precinct 4. Precincts 7 and 22 were combined to become precinct 7. 8 and 9 were combined to become precinct 8. Precincts 11 and 13 were combined to become precinct 11. Precincts 14 and 15 were combined to become precinct 14. And then precincts 16 and 17 were combined to become precinct 13. And then precincts 18 and 19 were combined to become precinct 2. Because we were well under 20 precincts, we changed precinct 20 to become precinct 5 and precinct 21 to become precinct 9. So I know that can be a lot. So let me give you guys a visual representation of what that means. So the map on the right is our previous 2025 precinct map. And then the map to the left, which I had the pleasure of working with communications to create our updated voting precincts map. So you could see the changes. You can see 18 and 19 being combined to precinct 2, and then there's a rough estimate of the number of registered voters per precinct, which you can see it's well under 4,999, that specific number. You can also see on here that precinct 7, which used to be 7 and 22, that holds 2 different school districts, which is Okemos School District and Williamston School District. So before precinct 22 was a couple hundred voters, and that was our Williamston School District. We combined those 2 precincts just given the amount of voters, and it's just something to be aware of. Some of our precincts will have different school districts. But that does go to the point of it's a lot of work to combine our precincts. We have to consider our state representative districts, which we have 2 in Meridian Township. We have to consider our county commissioner districts. We have 4. We have to consider our school districts. We have 4. So it's quite a bit to be aware of. And you can also see we have a few precincts that have well under 1,000. And that's given the different state representative school districts, county commissioner, and schools. So maybe we'll combine them later on. But for now, we have 14 precincts, which I'm very proud of. Exhibit A, so this was included in the resolution to show what the 2025 voting precinct map was, just in more detail. You can see the street index, and then Exhibit B, so it's a little harder to see on here, but all of this information is online. And this is the proposed precinct map that was approved. This is an updated map from, was it January 5th, and it gives the precise number of registered voters at that time based on one of our reports. So we have over 33,000 registered voters here in Meridian Township, and you can see how many registered voters per precinct there are. And it's just a more detailed map. This is the report I was mentioning. And then I wanted to bring in our voting precinct map from 1972, I believe. And this also had 14 precincts, so just a little bit of history. Those are my updates for 2025. For 2026, we have 3 elections that are scheduled. So we'll have a May 5th election, August 4th election, and November 3rd election. So we will be having more election commission meetings, but that is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you all so much for the presentations this evening. As always, a lot of interesting and insightful information that's going on. I'll add to Manager Dempsey's comment earlier as we speak to our public who may be watching from home. If there's any boards and commissions that you'd like to join, we do have a number of vacancies. We rely very heavily on our citizen volunteers who do a lot of amazing work here in the township. And so there's a very quick online application you can fill out. You can join the fun, have some cookies once a year at a meeting like this, and spend the rest of your year doing some amazing volunteering. Before I joined the board, and I know that a number of us are in the same position, we held positions on multiple volunteer boards and commissions. And so we know exactly how much hard work goes in. So thank you to all of you once again for coming and presenting this evening. We'll try to hear from you a little bit more than once a year if we can, and we'll continue to support you. If there's anything that we can do, let us know, and we'll be happy to do so. We do have one more bit of business for our regular meeting before we break, which is comments from the public. If anyone wishes to address the public, now would be the time. I don't see anyone from the public running to the podium, so we'll close public comment at 7:28. Last is a motion to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
It's been moved by trustee Wilson. Supported by trustee Lentz. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned at 7:28 PM. Thank you so much, everyone. We really